morning. Today I'm going to talk about some methods and ways that I've been able to implement into my life to help to heal from being in a toxic relationship with someone who I believe was a covert narcissist. So here's some of the things that have worked for me, and I'm still in the process. It's been 10 months since I found out that my husband and partner of over a decade was having a long-term affair with a married lady at work with 3 children. And when I found that out, I was initially in incredible shock, mostly because I think the cognitive dissonance of who I thought he was and who he presented to the world, and then who he turned out to really be, and just the whole, double life was just really shocking to me. It's just not who I thought he was, but he's a fragmented person, doesn't know who he is. So also the person that I thought I was in love with, doesn't exist, and so that's a weird thing to come to terms with, because the person I thought that I was in love with had a high level of integrity, had a strong sort of moral code, was very honest. I thought he was quirky and shy, but I didn't think he was, deceptive and duplicitous. So, finding that out is really hard on your psyche. It's really shocking, and it takes a while to process it, but so I'm still going through that process. It's been about 10 months. Here are some of the things that I've done that have helped me a lot. Again, it's a journey, but the first thing I had to do was, I've been going to therapy the whole time, and then I also started doing another type of therapy, which is EMDR therapy, with a really good trauma therapist, because what you'll find out when you get out of these types of relationships is that you have PTSD, and you have what's also called a trauma bond. And we'll talk about trauma bonds in sort of another, fully in another blog, but basically you've been sort of brainwashed, or sort of psychologically controlled and tortured, and so you have to sort of unprogram or deprogram your brain. Really, if you do some research on people that are getting out of cults, and how they've figured out how to heal from getting out of cults, that is very applicable to the healing that's required when you're getting out of relationships with narcissists, especially like the covert narcissists, because you didn't know. You thought, or at least I thought, that I was in a normal marriage that had some problems, but I had no idea that there was like a double life situation going on, and I couldn't clearly see how I've been brainwashed because of like the gaslighting. The gaslighting is, in my case, has probably been going on, who knows, maybe the whole time that I'm sure the whole time we've been together, there's been a double life of sorts, probably actually a triple life, because the lady that he's having an affair with, I seriously doubt she knows about his other life that I think is involving the internet, pornography, and things like that. But so the cult, you have to basically deprogram your brain. So the EMDR therapy has been helping me a lot, because I've been realizing that what allowed me to stay in a relationship where I was being severely neglected and like sustaining on crumbs was my own childhood trauma and neglect that I experienced in my childhood. Mostly it was benign neglect, because my parents just had incredible poverty, and there's a lot of problems in our family, and so it wasn't intentional neglect, it wasn't on purpose, it was just there was 6 kids, no resources, a lot of stress, a lot of mental illness, addiction. So I got used to sort of sustaining on crumbs, so that was normal for me to be okay with that. And then the other portion of it is, with narcissists, they do this thing called love bombing. So the first part of the relationship, they give a ton of energy and resources and time and attention, and so you sort of get glued to them, like you bond with them in this really strong fashion, and you feel like it's the first time in your life where you've been truly understood and really loved, and it's just this amazing sort of feeling. So because they also mirror you. So, you know, if you like avocado toast, they like avocado toast. If you like to lick a donkey's butt, they like to lick a donkey's butt. By the way, I don't like licking donkey's butts. I'm just using it as a analogy. So, you know, with the mirroring and the love bombing, it's a really strong glue. And then throughout the relationship, during sort of what they call the devaluation phase, which can be very subtle, very long-term, and very slow with the covert narcissist, they typically use intermittent reinforcement. So they'll give you some crumbs, they'll give you some morsels, and then they'll starve you out. And that intermittent reinforcement, they say, psychologists say, it's actually the strongest type of reinforcement that you can have with a person. So I basically was trauma bonded to this individual, and so in order to get out of it, it's been a journey, and I'm still trauma bonded, but I'm working on it. And so I've done the EMDR therapy. I did a lot of somatic body work, which was like sort of, you know, based on the book The Body Keeps the Score, and it's all about trauma and your body and how you hold the trauma in your body. And, you know, some of my trauma was from childhood, and then some, you know, near-death experiences and a natural disaster, and then of course the trauma of the PTSD from this toxic relationship that I'm escaping from. And so I did a lot of somatic body work with this this amazing practitioner that just really helped me so much. So that helped a lot. Also, I've done meditation and prayer. One of my mentors in my 12-step recovery program says that every time that I think of this individual, if I just say, bless him, and just sort of turn him over to God, that's like been really, really helpful for me. So when I think of him and I'll get rage or really sadness, then I try to just say, bless him, and I try to just turn him over. We're still in the middle of the divorce. He won't let it go. It's all about control. It's insane. So unfortunately, I don't have that freedom of the closure of the divorce, but I'm working through it, and I'm like, quote unquote, compartmentalizing. I'm using his strategies to, you know, cope with that, and I'm living a pretty full, amazing life. I still have just an amazing support group. Oh my gosh, that's the thing that's like saved me. I have these amazing friends that are just the most beautiful people really on the planet, and you know, most of them are in recovery. The ones that aren't in recovery are sort of normies, and they're working on their spiritual path. And so I've been surrounded by, you know, incredible grace and love. I also believe in God, so I have a really great relationship. Well, some days it's better than others, but I believe in God, and so that's really helped me to spend time in prayer and meditation, and knowing that my higher power is like carrying me through the most, you know, dark time of my life, and I'm so grateful for that. And I know that someday, probably in the not too far future, I'm going to look back and I'm going to be like, thank you, God. That was the best thing that ever happened to me. The other thing that I've been doing is I've been going to Codependence Anonymous, because it's, you know, I knew I was a codependent, but I didn't realize how deeply entrenched I was in codependence. And that's sort of where, you know, I think everything's my fault. I put everyone's problems on my shoulders. And so I'm learning like that's not the case, that I'm responsible for me. I'm not responsible for other people. And you know, do a lot of work in that program. I recently got the step book, and I plan on working those steps. I haven't yet, but I'm going to. And I also go to Al-Anon. So those are really helpful things for me that I've done. Also, I've read a lot on trauma bonding, how to overcome, you know, narcissistically abusive relationships. I read a book called The Passive Aggressive Covert Narcissist, which details sort of what you're dealing with, and then also it gives you all sorts of strategies to heal, which has been awesome. And you know, it's all about, for me, it's all about God, love, community, therapy, personal growth, you know, accepting my part. And my part, you know, in this case, a lot of my part was staying in a position to be hurt in an abusive relationship. It wasn't physically abusive, not even verbally abusive, more psychologically abusive through withholding, you know, lack of affection, compliments, physical intimacy, emotional intimacy. It was just all about like withholding, neglect, and gaslighting and psychological manipulation. So it was that type of relationship. And they say that it's really hard because it's hidden abuse. If it's physical abuse, it's like out there in the open, but this was like a very hidden psychological torture. So I'm learning all about that, and I'm beginning to see things a lot more clearly. So yeah, so a lot of really positive things are coming out of this, and I'm pretty sure that on the other side of this, and we're already starting to see that you know, the growth that's going to occur in my life is going to be exponential, because I will learn, and I'm already learning about boundaries in a much deeper way than I ever sort of knew before. So that's all I have for now, but I'm happy. You know, I'm going to keep trying to share, you know, experience, strength, and hope. My goal is to help other people who are coming out of this, or who are suffering, or don't even know that they're in this sort of relationship, to start to empower them to love themselves enough to, you know, realize that you are enough, you are loved, and you are safe and protected, and you don't have to stay in a toxic relationship, whether it be physical abuse, sexual abuse, psychological abuse, or whatever form of abuse it is. There's a way out. You can get out, you can heal, you can grow, you can be strong and happy and free. So hope you're having a great day, and that's all for now. Thank you.